Hello and welcome to StroongeCast episode 82.
I don't like them.
Yeah, why will be answered later, and what will be answered later.
Yeah.
But before that, of course, how's your week been?
I think we've had quite a busy week, haven't we? It's been
Yes,
Easter.
actually.
We've got the kids off school, Easter holidays.
It was lamb-tastic.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
You had your lamb. There's been lots of chocolate around.
And you had lots of mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, I had a mushroom pie because I don't eat meat.
No.
Yeah, it was a really nice day. We had a really nice time, didn't we?
Yeah,
Lots of chocolate and
I was sad a little bit because the Marks and Spencer's biscuit chocolate thing that you find for me was not in stock when you wanted to get it.
No, it wasn't.
However, the Ferrero Rocher egg is just
you
as
lucked
good.
out because I got you for a Rocher one, and then my mum and dad also got you one.
Yes.
And then you got a Lindt hazelnut egg.
I did as well, yeah.
So yeah, you've done good.
But I will share my chocolate with you.
Ah, do you remember Rolos, the advert?
Of course I do.
Sharing the last Rolo.
You can have all of them because
I know you don't like
like
Rolos.
toffee at all.
No.
Not my thing. Toffee apple, yes, but not
So
toffee.
weird. You don't even eat apples,
No.
but you eat toffee apple. You don't eat apples and you don't eat toffee, but you eat toffee apples.
It's like rice. I love rice, but I hate rice pudding.
Yeah, but that I can understand.
It's still
it
strange.
changes it completely, but
Also coconut rice, but I won't eat coconut.
yeah, but again, that's different. Because like when you cook with coconut milk, it doesn't really.
No, it doesn't.
Tastes
Coconut
like
milk, by the
coconut.
way, is like the best thing. I don't know why. It just adds so much flavour to something. And I hate coconut.
The worst is coconut water.
Yeah,
gross.
I've had that. Makes me shiver. It's grim. But yeah, my week was just also as fine. I honestly can't remember what I've done this week.
I don't think you've done that much. It's been quite quiet for you.
Yeah, I think so. I just ate
I've
a lot.
taken Alice out a few times
Yes.
to the zoo and.
Oh, actually, I gave
Shopping.
Jake money to build me a new computer. That is on the way.
Yes.
It's all the bits haven't arrived yet, but it's time for me to upgrade my computer, which is older than dirt. It's actually almost as old as Alice. It's like a month or so younger than she is. And I use it as my daily driver. So it is time for a change.
Yeah. And we know how good he is at building such things.
Oh, I'm absolutely not worried about that at all.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
That's
that's
kind of
it,
in it,
yeah.
really.
Yeah, it has.
Feels because we recorded on the Wednesday, it feels like it's been ages.
It does. And to make up for it now, we're recording much, much later on a Thursday than we normally would. It's past 12 o'clock.
It's 1:30, yeah.
Yeah,
Nearly.
it's 1:30.
But that's just because we were waiting for the kids to
Yeah,
take the dog out.
it's funny.
Yeah.
During the holidays, everything gets a bit sort of offset, doesn't it? Because we didn't even know what day it was, really.
Oh, it's really confusing. And then throw in some bank holidays
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really know where you are,
No.
to be honest.
Another thing that you guys did was, of course, you and Alice made this amazing chocolate tart,
We did.
which I fell in love with.
You did. You've requested for your birthday. Alice and I have already got some ideas for tweaks that we can just to,
Yes,
add a little touch to it.
my usual birthday flair is coffee cake, but I've changed it this year for chocolate tart.
Yeah.
And you made the pastry too, even
Homemade
better.
pastry. Yeah, we did. First time.
It's like a pick-upable piece of cheesecake, but it's not cheesecake. That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it did. It went down really well.
And if you like chocolate and you like tart/cake things, you out there would love this. I mean, I could make your mouth water, but I won't. I won't treat you so meanly because you are our listeners and we do love you, so it's fine. Did anybody answer our quiz?
I don't know actually. I'm afraid to say that I haven't actually read through all of the comments.
That's
I'm just
okay.
sort of
There's
waiting.
loads.
I think James. might
did.
have answered it, but I will read through it properly and then we will congratulate him if he gets it correct. But the question was, why is the moon not classed as a planet?
Right.
And the answer is, it orbits Earth.
Yeah. So instead of having something orbit it,
Yeah.
it orbits us.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite timely, isn't it? Given the Artemis 2 mission to the moon.
I know, it's as if I knew.
It's as if you knew.
I didn't at all, but it's as if I did.
That's quite funny.
So the question for this week is, what is the only rock that floats in water?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's not a sponge.
No, that is not a rock.
Nor is it
So-
me, because I do not float in water.
No, I know.
It's the black in me.
Yeah, maybe not everybody knows this, but black people tend not to be able to float
That's
in
right.
water.
That's right.
And even though our children are mixed, they do, they sink too.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
I remember when we went on the cruise last year and Alice and I were in the pool, and I'm very floaty, very buoyant. And so we were sort of like hanging on to the side and just kind of like bobbing around. And I would always sort of tip and float along the top. And she just couldn't do it at all.
Nope.
She could not float. She just sunk straight down, no matter what she did.
That was me in swimming lessons too. They're like, oh, just hang out on your back and relax. No.
Yeah.
No. Stop it.
When I used to take Alice swimming and teaching her to swim, and yeah, it was exactly the same thing. She just couldn't relax on her back.
Nope.
Because she just always felt like she was sinking.
I never got the vibe.
No. So which mailbag would you like to start with?
What choices have we got?
So we've got a couple of YouTube comments.
All
We've
right.
got a couple on Facebook and a couple on Mastodon.
Let's do Facebook first.
Okay. So actually there's only one on
Yeah.
on Facebook.
It's from Paul, isn't it?
It is from Paul. Facebook always does this really annoying thing when you've lined stuff up
It's gone.
and you then come out of it, even though you leave it open, it disappears.
Yeah, I hate that.
So with regards to our last episode about the coffins,
Oh, yes.
Paul says, in Birmingham city centre, there is a coffin museum. Primarily, it produced coffin accessories for the Victorians, but lasted until the 90s when it finally closed for business for good and then became a charitable trust. Local Sight Loss Council was invited to undertake an access audit.
He said undertake. Can you believe it?
We got a guided tour of the place. They said one of their main functions is to discuss death more openly, and coincidentally, I went there the day after my mum's funeral. I'm a bit squeamish about such things, to be honest, but it didn't feel strange in that context in going there at all. The curators were not one bit surprised I decided to keep the appointment. I'm not sure it contributed to my sense of well-being or being any more or less settled about my mum's passing that I already was, but the experience didn't negatively affect me either. The venue is called the Coffin Works, if you want to search it. Interestingly, one of the main reasons this world-class works closed is the rise in cremations. Many people now go for these plans where a truck comes, picks you up because people can't afford a full funeral, so likely no coffin in the traditional sense is required. Yeah, I guess that's what we were talking about, in that was saying that I wanted to be cremated.
Yes. That does make sense.
Yeah, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying, both of my parents have opted for that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no funeral planned or anything. You basically...
You do the thing, right?
They deal with everything, and the family... I think because there's such a big pressure on families, isn't there, for funerals, and it is...
Oh, there really is.
Such a huge expense,
We had that.
Yeah. And it's, just...
It's the last time. I mean, you don't really want to be stressed any time, but it's the worst time to be massively stressed about stuff.
Yeah, and particularly if it comes at a time when you don't actually know what that person wants, what their wishes are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to sort of have that taken away, I think can make it easier. And, if you decide, well, I don't... Because it doesn't mean that you can't have, or people, once you've passed, they can't have a celebration of you.
Exactly.
Like a wake. It's not saying you can't celebrate that person. It's just saying you don't have to deal with the process of what actually happens to them.
Exactly. Yeah. I can
So,
get behind that.
Yeah. So thank you, Paul,
Definitely.
for your comment. We really, really appreciate that. Sharing that with us. If we go to YouTube.
All right.
So Kat, who's my auntie Kat,
Yes.
thank you for commenting again, Kat. She says, in France, it's normal to have an open coffin and people visit. There is a book to sign. When Kay's grandpa, that's me, so when my grandpa died, she said she didn't want them seeing him like that, so they prevented the viewings, and people were not happy.
Right.
She said that they had a lot of people complain, and the funeral home was embarrassed to give them the book, but they really wanted people to remember him alive and vibrant and not in a box. And I get that. I wouldn't want that, to be honest. So yeah, I can understand.
It's a strange one.
What do you mean, the viewing the person, or like having an open coffin, or
Being annoyed about it. Like, you would surely want to remember them the good times. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
No, I agree. I don't know if it's...
But it's also, for example, like, I don't think I mentioned it last episode, but I have never gone to my mum's graveside because I can't see it. I can touch a bit of stone.
Because I used to ask you if you wanted to in the early days, and you never... I think you used to say right at the beginning that you wouldn't feel close to her there, so there was no point.
I do not. And I
you
still
feel
feel
close
that way.
to her in other places and within yourself.
Exactly.
So you don't need to go and stand there and...
So I don't do it.
No.
Some people will be like, man, you're dishonoring. No, I'm not. Because everybody will
not
do
at
their
all.
own thing. And
In
no
the
one
same
can
way that
tell
everyone
you.
grieves
Yeah.
in their own way.
So I've never been. And I don't feel bad about not going because it's not for me. You know?
She knows that, though.
She will. She's very pragmatic. And that's why I loved her.
Yeah. And then our next comment is from James.
Hi, James.
He does answer the quiz question. He
Nice.
said the moon is not a planet because it doesn't orbit around the sun. As to the topic, I can see both sides of this one, because as much as we talk about people's permissions and sharing amongst certain communities, I feel like it would be too easy for a picture like that to slip into the hands of people outside of the community.
Yes.
Another aspect, which I think you touched on, would be to ask the person where possible, even when it feels fraught, because for obvious reasons, we won't always know when someone's going to pass away. This one was especially interesting. Keep it up. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And she died young, the daughter, so it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, he said, oh, my bad. I just thought of something else. In some rare situations, a picture like that could bring a kind of closure to some individuals. Sounds strange, but I think even those individuals wouldn't necessarily know that until they've seen the photograph.
True.
You know how memories can be triggered by holding something or smelling something that used to belong to someone else, no longer with us. Well, for some people, as strange as it sounds, that principle might extend to a picture of a coffin. For some, even if they attended the funeral, it can be hard to truly find a stepping stone with which to begin the grieving process. I'm not suggesting one is more appropriate than the other, just that this was kind of interesting layers to it. Sorry for the chunk of reading, but you never have to apologize for writing lots to us.
We like
it. We want, different opinions, because obviously how we feel about it or what we think is
just two people.
Yeah. And also I like to think that we're quite open to other people, just other people's views and things.
That's it, isn't it? And I think that's why we played both sides last time, didn't we?
Yeah, it can change your views on something.
Oh yeah, you've done that.
We just might not have thought about it. So,
like, I know you said something in some of the early episodes, and I was like very adamant it was this way, and then you're like, "How about this?" And you're like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. So you never know. And we will move on to Mastodon.
Before you do that, I don't remember who it was said to me. I think it was on WhatsApp, so it might have been Ed or somebody else. Another thing about this whole thing is that the daughter died because of trolls, right? Mm-hmm. And then showing the picture allows them to say even more hurtful things on the mum's picture. So that's a reason for also not posting it.
Yeah.
But if they see it and they become better people for having seen it because they were the cause of it, then maybe it is a win. So again, I see that's two sides to
No,
this.
I can see that. The unfortunate thing, though, is I don't think if there are, this is obviously a whole other topic and maybe something we should discuss, trolling, but I don't think people who go to those extremes
will care,
will see their part in it at all and will care because they have pushed and pushed and pushed somebody for so long. They won't suddenly go, oh, I shouldn't have said those things. Now look what's happened. It's just not.
It's not in their wheelhouse. Yeah,
it's
It'd
just
be more
not.
like it's nothing to do with me. I didn't push her.
Exactly.
You know? But you did.
Exactly. They would never see their part in it, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's fair.
But I can understand.
You see what I mean? Well, actually, I hadn't thought of what that person said in that way until.
Yeah. No. I
very
agree.
Interesting take as well. But yeah.
So moving on to.
There's a helicopter outside, and wherever it is, I didn't do it. You can't hear it on the podcast because
it's the kids and Penny in the park.
Oh, Penny the Joyrider.
Penny the Joyrider.
She likes steal a tank or something.
Yeah. So these comments that we actually have are from the previous episode.
Yes, when we will call, what we call that?
Don't touch my legs.
Yeah, no, that was another one.
Oh,
do you know what? It's I've lost it. I just can't remember.
Insert name here.
Insert name here. Yeah. But anyway, 2 weeks ago, isn't it? Episode 80.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
If this comment ever fits into an episode, feel free to use it. I was just thinking on this and I didn't get it in last week. I will never understand two things that are related. One, why people have this idea that we as blind people or anyone with a disability really should be nice all the time and educate the ignorant ones. I don't understand it. Why can't I just get into an Uber and not deal with the stupid questions for once? I get it, you might not see someone with a disability out going places, doing things. That's one thing. And I will talk to someone if I have the spoons to.
Yeah.
And if they aren't asking stupid questions. But this isn't something I should be expected to do if I'm having a bad day. Leave me alone. I've had some great conversations when I actually want to educate. Had an Uber driver ask me once how I tell the difference between the meds I take. I was happy to answer. But if you're going to ask me stupid questions, I shouldn't have to say anything. Even if you aren't asking me stupid questions and I'm having a bad day, I shouldn't have to answer. Mm-hmm. I completely agree with this. And I've read a lot of things of people saying it's not people with disabilities' job to educate.
It's not. And I don't think you said who that was from, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I thought I did. It was from Mariah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I said at the beginning.
I completely, her and I have had a lot to say on these few episodes. And we agree about a lot of things like that. So, yeah, I'm in agreement. I often get in Ubers with a lot of gear. And if I'm not with Jake, they will often ask, how did I get out of the house and find the cab and things? And say, well, my house is 20 steps from the road. It's not far.
I think it's the way you ask as well, like she's saying.
It's about tone and silliness.
Yeah, and you get a vibe from a person. So you would hope that the person speaking to you would gather whether you were interested in having a conversation and answering those questions.
That's it.
Yeah. So then she says, 2, I don't get why there's this idea that we have to be nice and take something like someone answering for us or someone thinking we can't do something simply without feeling some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
My parents are a good example here. If someone answers for me, I don't like it at all. And usually I'll be somewhat nice about it, but other times I get a little snippy. I can't compare it to anything to make them understand why this is a little degrading, but I also won't stand for being told I should be nice or, oh, they're just trying to help. We are allowed to have bad days like everyone else. We're allowed to have feelings, and sometimes I don't want or need anyone's help, thank you, especially if it's not asked for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because as an able-bodied person, it's sometimes I guess you worry about overstepping the mark or offering help or...
Offering is one thing, though. Offering
Yeah.
is not, oh, how do you do this? And can I take 55 minutes of your day when you're late for an appointment to stand on the side of the road in the cold and ask you a bunch of invasive questions?
No, not that at all. I just think she's talking about, when people speak over, and that is absolutely not acceptable.
A prime example of a good interaction, when I came back from the piano shop a couple of weeks back, I got off the train and I always wait for the train to pull out before I listen for the exit, right? Because I don't know where I've been dropped off. I could have been dropped off to the left of the exit or to the right of the exit.
Yeah.
So what I do is listen for the wind. Our station is extremely windy and you can often hear people in the other part of the station. So I wait and then I turn one way or the other and then I walk that direction. So I get out of the station, or out of the bottom bit to the escalator, and the guy's like, are you okay? I say, yeah, when I get to the escalator, I'll be all right. So he's like, I'll take you there. And then he said, once you're on, do you need any help you on there? I was like, no. So he walked up the side and carried on. He didn't bug me. He didn't bother me. He helped me to the point at which I was okay. And this is the kind of interaction that you always want. You know? He didn't have to offer, and I could have been like, no, I'm good, thanks. Or I could have been rude, but no need to be rude. And that's the greatest interaction you can ever have, really, with somebody. It's simple and effective, and just get done and move on.
Yeah.
But I can't remember when, a long time ago, like we've talked about in 2 episodes ago, when people grab you. Had that. Rarely.
Yeah, it's just not okay.
I think it's my face. People don't do it often to me. They do it more to women, I think. But I have had it a long time ago.
But yeah, the talking over is just...
And talking for.
Yeah.
Isn't there I think we talked about this a long time. The sketch about that in the Fast Show, where one woman suggests something to around a bunch of male colleagues, and
oh, yeah, isn't that just like taking ideas? Because I think that's different, because that's men not listening to women as opposed to...
But I kind of tie it to disability in that people don't often listen to people with disabilities because they think they don't know what they need.
Yeah.
Which is stupendous to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a mad one. And then we had one other comment, I think, didn't we?
We did. We had from Epidemiologist.
Which is still a great name.
Still a great name. They say, true story. I walked through an exhibit of, I don't know how to say this, daguerreotypes?
I don't even know what that means. I can't help with that.
Daguerreotypes. That's what I'm going with.
Daguerreotypes.
I'm really sorry if that's not what it is. At my university's rare book library, one was a picture of a child in her coffin, and I recognised her face. She looked just like one of my cousins, my mother's sister's kids. I read the attached explanatory label, and she was indeed related to me through my mother's mother. It was a shock. I know back in that era, that might have been the only picture they had of their lost child, but still, is that the memory you want?
That is
I mean, that's
wild.
that's such a crazy story. Yeah, that's really wild. But yeah, I mean, I think who was it who did mention, somewhere I saw it, I'm sure.
Victorian, like about the Victorians and death. Somebody did, didn't they? We talked about it.
I don't know where it is.
But we talked about it off air.
Yeah, but I don't remember where
it was a chat about Victorians liking to prettify up people and make them still look alive.
Well, they would pose and, have family pictures with the deceased relative, and I think they had quite an obsession with it.
Strange one, that. You know what? I can't even edit the good word in because we didn't find one, so sorry.
The good word?
Yeah, for the word that we couldn't say, that neither of us could say.
Oh.
I can't even edit that as a good one.
Sorry. I don't know what it is.
Normally I make you sound absolutely amazing, but I cannot do it.
Well, everyone's just going to know that I just...
You'll have to dock my pay.
Can't do it. No chocolate cake for you.
What? No, okay.
Well, we should probably get on the actual topic of the podcast today.
One last thing. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. What? Are you going to say because you just reminded me.
You do
Barry.
it, and I'll see if I do it.
Barry?
That wasn't what I was going to say, but it does begin with a B. Go on.
Well, it's just because we've had a new listener, Barry.
Hi, Barry. Yeah.
Hi, Barry, who's left loads of comments, but on like much, much older episodes, which is why we're not talking about them, because otherwise we'd be here forever going into a tangent. But we just wanted you to know that we have read them all, and it's really, really nice of you to comment. And we're really glad that you're listening and enjoying.
And the thing I was going to say was, at the end of last week's episode, how many buys did you say?
How many? How many buys? Does anybody know? Did anybody count them?
Did anybody even catch that?
Yeah.
If
you didn't, go back and listen to the buys.
The reason I did that is because we didn't put it out on April Fool's, but we recorded on April Fool's. So I had a bit of a silly ending. And then just see how many buys there are.
Compilation of my buys.
It was real fun. I remember you were ironing and I came up and showed you.
You did. And we played it out loud and the dog got really confused. She was
really
looking
confused
around the room like, what is going on? Yeah.
That is fun. Okay. Actual topic.
Podcast topic.
After like half an hour.
Yes.
Sorry, everyone.
So why don't we like them?
Why don't we like them?
Why don't we like them? Just to say that there isn't actually anybody that we don't like. We're not, I mean, there are in the world, but we're not specifically talking about someone we don't like.
No. It's hypothetical, isn't it?
Yeah, this all stems from us last week meeting Jake's girlfriend for the first time.
She's amazing, by the way.
And she's so great. She's lovely. She's really sweet. She's been here almost every day since.
What, about like 6 times? I've seen her more.
There's very few days over the last like 10 days that she's not been here.
I've seen her more in the last week than I've seen some of my family in the last 10 years.
Exactly. But it's been really nice. She comes, she hangs out. You can hear them laughing upstairs. Like, they just have a great time. She's very sweet. She obviously feels very comfortable being here.
Already, which is great.
Yeah, she's stayed for dinner. I've made food for everybody. She's eaten Alice's baking, and like, she's just really great. We really, really like her. So this is absolutely not anything to do with her. But what I was saying to you was, we're so lucky that that's the way it is.
Yes.
That we like her. She seems to like us, because otherwise she wouldn't come here all the time.
Nope.
And it would be so different if we didn't like her.
And we could also tie this to family and mother-in-laws, father-in-laws too. Because I think
exactly.
It's all
like what happens, like the dynamic within a family group when you don't like someone's partner.
Yes. Whether it's your son or daughter's partner, or your husband or wife, or partner's partners.
Yeah, just partners, so difficult. Family. I mean, we're really lucky that,
you know what I
mean. Our families,
they got on,
were, well, yeah, I mean, it's not even so much the families, but me with your family and you with mine.
Yeah.
Specifically. My mum just thinks you're absolutely great.
Well, ditto. I know my mum thought you were great. I mean, she got you to pick up the girls from school when they were babies.
She did, yeah, that is true.
You wouldn't just ask anyone to do that.
Yeah, your mum was so welcoming right from the beginning.
Yeah.
There was no worries or anything there. And I wouldn't say our dads took a while or anything like that. They were both absolutely fine, but they're dads.
They are different. They're a different breed of creature.
They are different. So, things are just a bit different.
Yeah.
With dads. Mums tend to be much more warm and welcoming in those situations.
That's
you
true.
Are an exception, because you've spoken to Jake's girlfriend more than I have, because most of the time I've not been here.
That's it.
And yeah.
I played for her music. I played music.
Yeah, exactly. And, you've been really great welcoming her in. So you're the exception. But I would say generally it's mums that tend to be more.
I think it's because dads don't want to let their children go as easily.
Yeah, and I also think it'll be really interesting to see when it's the
Well,
other way,
I was thinking about
when
that.
it's with Alice
I was thinking about
and
that.
there are boys. Because already Jake has said if she ever has boys over, he will be stood there in the doorway watching, keeping an eye.
And
I
he
honestly feel
hulks.
so sorry for her having you and him to deal with.
Jake really hulks, doesn't he? He just stands there,
Yeah.
looming.
He really does.
He's a proper lanky loomer.
It's probably a good job he doesn't listen, because I'm not sure how he'd feel about that.
No, I think he'd be quite impressed, to be fair.
To be called a lanky loomer, I'm not sure.
Lanky loomer.
But yeah, I don't know. How would we even manage that if we didn't like
It would be
her?
much harder because you'd feel like you always had to try and impress instead of just being you. And
Yeah.
there'd be a lot more resentment going places or seeing them.
Yeah, because I feel like if you say to a teenager especially, I don't want you seeing that person,
That's not going to work well.
no. I don't know how. I genuinely don't know how we would have managed
No.
a situation like that. I think we're really lucky that.
Because the thing is, right, with the way the world is, you just leave your house and go meet them somewhere else. And you arrange to meet up online. Back in the day, you'd hear the phone call. You'd hear the side of the conversation. Now you're typing. There's nothing to hear.
Without going into specifics, you've had relationships. I'm thinking of one in particular, but relationships in the past that your mum wasn't necessarily thrilled about.
Yeah, she made it clear.
Yeah. How did that pan out? Because you actually have.
Because she was nice
experience.
about it, because she was my mum. She was very professional.
Yeah.
It was only afterwards she said, never liked her anyway.
Oh, okay. I thought along the road of the relationship, she might.
No, I
said
didn't
to
really
you-
get to the vibe until
Okay, fine.
she was gone.
Yeah. But that's a really strong thing for her to be able to do,
It is.
to sort of put up and
It was, basically.
stay quiet through.
I respect it.
Yeah. Well, because I guess you have to leave your kids to make mistakes, don't you? Unless it's something, really big.
Problematic.
Yeah, big red flags that you need.
But you know what? We could bring it closer to home. There was the lady that I was working with that you didn't like. And as a wife, you could have said as well, because I wasn't a teenager and I probably could have understood that.
Yeah, but I didn't. I said to you, she's absolutely fine. Like, she's perfectly nice. I just don't click. There's just something. I did say that to you.
I think, yeah, you did. You actually did.
There's just something there that I'm just not sure about. And we put it down to the age difference because she was very young.
Yeah, that was
And-
probably it too.
Although I was a lot younger then, because it was quite a while ago. But there was just something that I didn't. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't even that I didn't like. There's just a warmth.
It's a
And I
mentality
didn't
as
warm
well,
to
isn't
her.
it, really?
Yeah. And it did end up being a.
But then,
not
in
great
recent
situation.
times, I've worked with young people as well, of a similar age, and they have
Yeah.
all been much
And you always say
nicer.
to me, "What do you think? What's the vibe?"
It's a litmus test.
And I'm like, "It's okay.
They've got to
good vibes.
pass the wife litmus test.
Good vibes."
And I think that's true, like of our children as well, because we have such a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
I feel like they would want to know what we thought
Yeah.
in the first place.
I think also
We're
you just
lucky.
want your kids to be happy.
You do.
So if they find somebody that makes them happy, then it's all good. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously if there's red flags and stuff, but then they're unhappy at some point.
That's
But
it.
Since Jake's been with his girlfriend, he's always been happy. He's always,
He's a different kind of happy. Yeah.
yeah, but it is different, and the smile on his face, and you can just see how.
Getting up early? Wow.
I know. There's just lots of things, and it's really lovely to see.
It is.
And so that's already a really big bonus in our book.
And he was already
How
quite
happy.
kind of empathic anyway. But I
Yeah.
feel like having someone to care for in a different way than family has made him even more so. Like the story of when, she dropped her ice cream and he bought her another one.
Yeah, I think he felt guilty because he chased her and she dropped it. But yes, he did buy her another one.
But instead of like laughing and just saying, well, you buy it then.
No,
He
absolutely.
sorted it out. I just thought it was really nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you don't have a good relationship at the beginning, it's very difficult as they, go further into their lives together.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, your dad had a valid reason to dislike me at the very beginning.
He didn't dislike you at all.
No. He would have had a reason to, because I puked on their front garden, right? So he could have said, "Well, he's a wrong un. You can't see him anymore."
No.
Instead, though, he thought it was quite funny. I think mainly.
Well, it was his fault because he ploughing you with alcoholic drinks. He would never. Anyway, that's definitely not something. But yeah, he never ever disliked you.
No, I never got that impression. I didn't.
No.
But I meant, there could have been reason to.
But
Because
like
on
you
the first
say-
time you meet somebody, you shouldn't be sick in their front yard. I mean,
No,
that's
probably not. But
leaving a mark.
at least it was the front garden. But it's always that thing, isn't it, with daughters? Dads are always going to have a bit more.
Oh, they're way more precious. And I can feel myself getting het up about it already.
Yes, I know. Poor Alice.
I know. I pity her, but I love her. So, depends which one wins out.
Oh dear.
I'll be strong. It's okay.
Mm,
You can keep me grounded.
I'll do my best.
But you've got two boys around you, so it's difficult.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult for her.
Oh dear. It'd be quite interesting to see though. And to be fair, it's going to depend on the person she's with.
Mm-hmm.
They just will not mistreat her in my presence.
No.
Because we will fight. And I hope that they buy her ice cream if she drops it too.
Definitely.
It's a funny thing.
Mm.
So my dad was a bit funny with you in the beginning.
Mm.
But that's just my dad in general, to be fair. Especially in his younger years.
Just wasn't sure.
No, he wasn't sure, although he certainly came around.
Yeah.
I think one day just like the switch flipped.
Well, I think when he realised that, we were serious, it wasn't an easy,
Christmas fling.
quick thing.
I was going to say a summer fling, but we met in December.
Yeah.
So.
I think once he realised that, we were serious and that we started a family and we settled down and everything. And
Well, that's it, isn't it? Things change after that.
Mm,
You can either get with or not.
quite.
And he did.
Yeah.
Like, I know he comes in and hugs you now.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't used
And
to.
he was never not anything but nice to me. There was never anything there. It was only to you that he ever said anything. So.
But all my other family just thought you were great. I know Dwayne did. My mum did and everything.
Yeah.
My sisters.
Yeah. Well, they were tiny.
They were tiny, yeah.
Mm.
And your sister on MSN, I should find the conversation if I could find it, said that
That would be so funny.
I made you glow. And this is before you're pregnant, by the way.
Wow.
But this is when we first met. She's like, I've never seen her like that. It's like, all right. I'll take it. I had no idea.
See, that's all it is. You make someone happy and then their family are going to be accepting.
Yeah,
Well, at least you would hope.
certainly would. Because I met your lot during Easter of 2008 for the first time.
Yeah.
And as that's just come and gone, and I was reminded of it sitting in your family living room.
Mm.
It was a madhouse that day as well. It wasn't like an ordinary meeting of people. It was crazy.
Throw you in at the deep end.
It was. I mean, your mum had just come out of surgery. The cat was stuck in the floor. I mean, what a day.
Oh, dear.
You should explain that because it's bizarre and quite funny too.
Oh, they were having on the third floor, so the top floor of the house, there's a small bathroom, and they'd had the floor relaid, And for some reason, the guy came that day to put down a couple of slate tiles and not realise that George the cat had got underneath. And so he tiled her into the floor, not realising. And we couldn't find her anywhere. And then my sister heard her meowing under the floor. And my dad had to, lift up a tile to get her out. It was a whole drama.
Yes.
Rescue the cat.
That all happened while I was there.
Yeah, it did. And my mum had just had gallbladder surgery, so she wasn't sort of able to do anything.
And I didn't know the house, so I couldn't go up and help. So I sat.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you were doing. Probably manning the food so it didn't die.
I don't even remember.
And then I got very drunk.
You tried to keep up with my dad. It's not.
It wasn't even that,
not
you know.
Possible. Well, no, he just kept giving you different types of port. That was what it was. It was the port. Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. Then, the next time I saw them was Christmas. That was chill.
Yeah. So, share your stories with us.
Do.
Yeah.
Because I think, just like everything else, when you meet somebody and then you go meet the families, you probably feel a bit of apprehension.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
I'd love to know what your thoughts were about that. In fact, let's start with you. When you met my mum, what were you thinking? If you can remember that far back. It was like
I can't remember,
a century ago now.
Honestly, I have the worst memory, you know that. So I can't remember, but I probably would have been really, really scared. Like really scared. Because you was really close to your mum. So it's that kind of, if you don't get on with them, is that game over?
Yeah.
But yeah, I never had to worry. Your mum was amazing.
No, I think she saw you, like, give you one look and then like, oh, all right. She's all right. She'll do. Because she had said to me, and I've said to you before, that she felt safe leaving me in your hands, as it were. Which is hard for a mum to say.
Yeah.
But it works. We've been both lucky. Like when Alice and you were in the hospital and your mum came to check on me, I think daily, pretty much.
Yeah.
Make sure I was fed and watered like a plant.
Yeah, she did.
Because we hadn't planned on you staying. We thought it would be like a quick thing.
And your mum couldn't come and visit you because your sisters had chicken pox.
That's right. And then I couldn't come back to see you because of that.
Yeah.
Because I had gone to see them. It was a bit of a mess, wasn't it?
It was. So my mum came and looked after,
Yes.
made sure you had food and if you needed
Because
anything.
I know otherwise my mum was planning on bringing me dinner.
Yeah, of course.
We had to change because we were living around the corner from them at that point. And so my mum was closer to me, physically, I mean, than your mum. And then your mum sort of swapped plans and drove and sorted it all out. Oh, it was crazy. But I couldn't actually be around anybody, really. So I remember being alone in the house for 3-4 days. I can't remember how long it was. It was a while.
Yeah, it was Monday to Friday.
That's right.
Well, Sunday night to Friday.
And your mum took Jake to nursery and all that sort of thing. So I had the house to myself, but in an unwanted way. I'd gone from living alone to living with you and Jake, to living with you, Jake and Alice, to then nobody.
Yeah, it was a crazy week.
And actually, I was wrong. We weren't living around the corner from my mum.
No, I know. I was going to say, but then I thought, no, just...
No, yeah, we were up here.
Yeah, we were here.
And that was a big house to be puttering around on my own, I tell you.
Yeah.
And it's not like here where I've got key and upstairs. We were at that time, we were living in a big block of flats. And I don't know, if you've ever lived in an apartment building or a block of flats, you know that although you're surrounded by people, you likely know none of them.
Yeah, it can be quite isolating, can't it?
The most interaction I ever had with people was waiting for the lift.
That's true.
Seriously, I met some people at that time. It's like, oh, you live here? Never seen you in my life.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And they were quite soundproof buildings, so it felt like I was alone in the wilderness for a while there.
Yeah.
I remember that. Sort of a tangent, but yeah. I was lucky that your mum liked me enough to keep me fed and sorted.
Of course.
But them's were the breaks. But yeah, tell us your stories, because I think there'll have to be some. If you're married, then you'll have let's meet the
In-laws.
parents experience. And there's always that time when your partner's parents hold your grandkid for the first time or something. That's got to be cool.
Yeah.
Because my mum was one of the first in the hospital after Jake was born, wasn't she?
Yep. She was. She was there. She came, saw him.
I can't remember what happened with Alice.
Well, we left really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
With Jake, we had to stay the whole day. But with Alice, we were home by lunchtime. So she didn't get a chance.
No. Nobody did.
No one needed to come and see.
And then I think they came by the day after or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't it weird? Like, I remember the first one quite clearly, but not the second.
Not sure.
No. But I do know something. It's lunchtime.
It is lunchtime.
But you've got to tell me a story
very late
first.
lunch. I'm going to tell you a story which might put you off your lunch, but...
Oh, no.
So this is Chinese national charged for trying to smuggle 2,000 ants from Kenya.
In his pants.
Well, let's see.
Oh, God.
A Chinese man and his Kenyan associate have been charged with illegally dealing in wildlife species after they were caught trying to smuggle more than 2,000 live queen garden ants out of Kenya. They were arrested in an international airport in Nairobi. So this was only last month in March. The authorities discovered the large consignment of ants in his luggage, each of them either stashed in a test tube or wrapped in tissue.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, because you open it, they just go everywhere.
Well, yeah. So Kenyan authorities have been warning about a growing demand for garden ants in Europe and Asia, where collectors keep them as pets.
Why?
I don't know.
Why ants?
I mean, people have ant farms, but...
Yeah, but no.
I don't know.
You're quite militant about ants.
Oh, I do not like ants. Both men pleaded not guilty to the charges, which I find really bizarre because why else have you got all those ant tubes in your luggage? They have seen the potential that they're able to sell them outside of the country. They believe that they're making a living out of it.
But why would you buy ants? Like, what do they actually do for, I don't know, your garden, your house?
I don't know, because it just says collectors keeping them as pets. That's the only thing that it says.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Are you anti-ant?
I am anti-ant. I don't like them, but yeah. So
Hey, you brought it back around. You don't like them.
I don't like them. That's what I don't like.
Ants.
The ants. And on that note, our children and the puppy have just returned. So
perfect time to go away, isn't it?
Hi. There you
Perfect.
go. Good timing.
Well, look at that. We found the thing she doesn't like, and it's not my mum or dad, it's ants.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, there we go. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. And as always, we do this thing, and it has to happen now. So what is that thing?
Bye.
One of my sons has urinated on me. Now, my sons are 2.5, just about, and almost 6 months. So I'm going to assume, because I smell quite badly, it's the 2.5-year-old. The issue being, I don't know which one it is. All I know is I smell, and I'm stuck in my office, and I've had to open the windows, and I'm not feeling very good about life right now. When your sons urinate on you, and you have to go to work in that state, that is not a good state to be in. That is all.